Are you gonna stop him?
Meh.
Firearm season opens in a lot of states this Saturday. In other states throughout much of the whitetails range, it's just prime hunting time. Of course, a lot of southern states, firearm season's been open for months. South Carolina opened August 15th. Florida, South Florida, man, opened in August, early August. So some of you boys and girls been hunting a long time. But throughout most of the whitetails range, mid-November means deer hunting, man. It's just prime time. So I want to take a moment and share a couple hunting strategies for the weekend. And that usually starts with understanding the deer biology and the habitat. We frequently talk about this bell-shaped curve, and we're entering that, that kind of top point where a lot of does are receptive. That actually peak out in most areas about November 15th. It may be a day, one way or the other, but right in there. And when that happens, a lot of people call that the lockdown phase. Now, some scientists say there's no such thing as the lockdown phase, and kind of both parties are right, but here's what's happening. When the most does are receptive at one time, that day, most bucks are with the doe, and when they're with the doe, they're tending. They're spending about 24 to 36 hours just moving with her, and she's probably not moving too far. They may lay in the brush a lot, and just move 30 yards at a time. They're moving, they're active, they're there, but they're not running miles. And then a buck doesn't have a doe, maybe he's finished tending a doe and he's seeking another one, and yeah, he's moving, and those tend to be the bucks that get harvested during that peak of the rut, if you will. Oftentimes you'll see a bunch of fawns in a food plot or acorn flat, wherever they've been used to feeding, because does tend to abandon fawns when they're receptive. I want to dive a bit deeper into the biology to understand the hunting a little bit. Some Texas research, I think another school since then has shown the same thing, that about 25% minimum of fawns were sired by different bucks. So the same doe and those fawns, those twins, are stepbrother, stepsister. So there's just a lot going on out there in the deer woods, a lot of action, and that's why a lot of people enjoy hunting during the rut. That also, it just ensures tremendous genetic diversity in a whitetail herd. I get comments all the time, year after year after year, we got good genetics in our area, or the genetics are no good. The genetics of a whitetail deer herd are extremely diverse. I never worry about genetics. And I share that because a lot of guys and gals are going to be thinking about culling this weekend. That buck, he's got 7 points, he's never going to mount anything. Boom. Research after research after research project has showed that rarely is, just abnormally small antlers or something like that related to genetics. It's usually related to the buck's age or maybe an injury. And we need to also understand that the doe has a big contribution to the antler quality of a buck. And so until you see a doe and you say, boy, her right ear is long, or she's going to produce big male fawns, I'm not going to harvest her. But there's nothing like that. Now, genetics is an issue, but that's where you have a pedigree, like with dairy cow or labs or something like that, and you know who bred who for several generations, not one, several generations, and that Holstein line produces more milk, or that dog's a great retriever, something like that. But in a wild free-ranging deer herd, there's no pedigree. Remember, about 25% minimum of the fawns were sired by a different buck, those fawns being from the same doe. Putting all this together, if you're into deer management, it's much better to harvest based on age than antler size. And what tends to happen, if your goal, say, is to grow 4-year-old bucks, and I'm not saying that's for everyone, but if that's your goal, then you want to look at the body shape and not antler size, or you're going to end up harvesting those best 3-year-olds or the best 2-year-olds, and those are the bucks that are really showing a lot of potential early on. Again, it's not culling, because we all know stories. I've had deer, tagged, red, collared, whatever, as spikes that ended up being Boone and Crockett deer once they got to 4, 5, 6 years of age. But you don't want to be shooting the very top end of your herd. You just shot it a year or two too young. If you're just out there getting venison, man, I'm right with you. We're going to put a bunch of venison in the Woods family freezer, and does are a great way to do that. We need to continually work on balancing that adult sex ratio, because some of my neighbors are not on the game. They're shooting bucks only, so we kind of got to compensate for them. You know your neighborhood and harvest, and man, you're on public land, you're looking for some venison, and whichever deer walks out and you've got to work the next day, man, more power to you. I hope you make a clean shot and enjoy processing that venison and sharing it with your family. So this weekend, you know, just be safe, have fun, use deer biology, know what they're feeding on, but feeding's not my main focus right now. Travel corridors and thick cover. If you can't see into the cover, primary entry and exit ways out at cover, travel corridors, hoping to catch a buck, searching for a doe. Man, as always, just take some time to enjoy creation, whether you get to hunt or maybe you got to work or you got a sports event or whatever's going on. And more importantly, take time every day to intentionally be quiet and seek the Creator's will for your life. Thanks for watching Growing Deer.